Right, my beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. What a match. Holy crap. That was one of the most intense first halves, I remember seeing in a really, really long time. This was absolutely insane. This was high drama. This match turned out very, very different than I expected. In my preview, look, given the way we played this season and with all of the injuries in the squad and half the team playing out of position, I didn't expect us to put on a brave face the way we did, but we really did. And I think we had plenty of chances to win this match. This was a match that was totally conditioned by the heat and humidity. I'm very familiar with that part of the world. I've spent a lot of time there. The heat and the humidity, especially at night, is unbelievable. And at the end of this match, I mean, both teams just couldn't walk. I mean, they were totally exhausted. We had plenty of chances to put this match away. Two in the final minute, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. Look, let me give you my thoughts on the match. Look, I think overall, I think that we performed better than I expected. I honestly think that if we had Rudiger and Militao and we had people playing in their natural positions, I think we would have won this match. But look, it is what it is. The Super Cup, look, it's not a big deal, but let's be honest. I hate losing against these people. It makes me sick to my stomach. So as insignificant as the trophy is, to lose kind of in this manner is particularly painful. Okay, in terms of, look, the lineup, there was a bit of confusion at the beginning because Xabi Alonso put out a lineup. I was watching it on Madrid TV, and it showed Arda Güler. It looked like a 4-4-2 with Arda Güler, but Gonzalo on the bench. And then 15 minutes later, they updated it, and it looked different. It was a 4-3-3. With Gonzalo playing in the number 9 position. So the lineup that he eventually came out with is this one, a sort of 4-3-3. Now, the injury situation, especially on the defensive line, is completely alarming. I have no idea what's going on. I'm not entirely convinced why Pintus was sort of pushed aside, because if you think about the last few years, the last few seasons, I mean, Pintus did a good job of, I think, generally speaking, of keeping the players in shape. And we would finish seasons, we'd go into April and May in the Champions League round, and we looked fresh. Our players looked fresh. I don't understand why Pintus would have been sidelined. But anyway, the injury situation is totally alarming. So we ended up playing with Courtois in goal, Carreras on the left, Huijsen and Tchouaméni as center backs, Asensio as right back, and then the middle of the pitch we had Camavinga just in front of the defenders, Jude a little bit to the left, Fede a little bit to the right, and then up front, Vini, of course, on the left, Rodrigo on the right, and Gonzalo as the number 9. The match itself the first half was insane. I mean, I don't know how many millions of hours of football I've watched in my life. I don't remember the last time I saw 3 goals in the added minutes of the first half. It was insane. Look, in the first few minutes of the match, Barca, had a lot of possession, but they weren't really finding passing lanes. I thought we were quite well positioned, and we were doing kind of what I wanted to see, which is press the ball sort of more in the middle of the pitch and don't fall back into a low block. And we managed to do that in the initial minutes fairly well. Rodrigo, I think, did a very good job in the first half of backtracking and helping recover balls. I think he had a very good first half, other than the error in the ball loss that produced the first goal. But he did a good job sort of backtracking. In the 13th minute, Vini had a great play on the left. By the way, Vini had one of the best matches I've seen him play since he's arrived. I mean, he was on fire. I mean, he drove Barca crazy. He was wreaking havoc on the left, getting past Rafinha, couldn't keep up with him. Vini had a chance in the 13th minute. On this occasion, he didn't lift his head. He took a shot. He really should have passed because that was a really, really good opportunity. Vini, but I think had a fantastic match. I mean, he drove Rafinha, they drove him crazy. In the 18th minute, I was sort of saying, look, we look pretty well positioned. We weren't really allowing Barca. They had possession, but they weren't really hurting us. They weren't generating as many chances as we're used to seeing Barca create. Camavinga, I think, did a good job defending in the first half, although in the second half, I think he took way too many risks with the ball in dangerous areas. Camavinga has a tendency to do this. It's something I think he needs to adapt in his game. Gonzalo, I thought was a little bit sloppy with the ball in the first half. In the 26th minute, Barca started to kind of consolidate possession a little bit more. And sort of towards the sort of 25th to 30th minute, we were really, really struggling to get the ball. We were defending way too deep. In the 30th minute, I wrote, now we're defending too deep. Okay, we started well, pressing high up, but by the 30th minute, we had collapsed our defense all the way back, and Barca was really kind of pressing us. In the 32nd minute, there was a fantastic opportunity for Gonzalo. He got behind his defender, and he released the shot too quickly. He had time to take another touch on the ball, to adjust the ball. He had time to get a little closer and adjust the ball and take a proper shot, but he rushed himself, and that was a really, really wasted opportunity. Okay, in the 34th minute, Rafinha had a really, really good opportunity, and he's a very good finisher, and I was just shocked to see him scuff the ball wide of Courtois' post. But that was a glaring miss. Now, in the 38th minute, we had the ball loss from Rodrigo that produced the first goal by Rafinha. And it's sort of, I don't know, a little bit ironic because I thought Rodrigo was playing very, very well. I think he had a very active first half. He was really participating, but he just made that one mistake. And Barca has so much talent. You just cannot you cannot lose balls in dangerous areas because they will hurt you. It was just literally one mistake, but made all the difference. Now, after the goal, and this is something I was watching the game with a friend of mine, and we were kind of commenting that when we have a tendency to lower our energy level, not only when we score, but when we concede. So immediately after the first goal, we didn't really react. And it was kind of painful to watch because you expect that when you concede a goal, okay, you're going to amp up your energy level. But we didn't seem to do that. And that is kind of one of the hallmarks of the team this season is either after we score or after we concede, we just tend to freeze up, and it was just really frustrating to see. Okay, in the 41st minute, Barca was really pushing us against the ropes. Again, they had the ball. We couldn't get it off them. We were really pinned back very, very deep. And then when you least expected it, Vini produced one of the best goals that he scored since he's arrived in Madrid. This was an absolute wonder goal. And look, I criticize Vini a lot because of his decision making in the final third and because he has a tendency to screw up in the final pass, the final shot. But this one worked out. This was perfect. I mean, he went through 4 Barca defenders and finished. It was absolutely magnificent. That was in the 46th minute. 2.5 minutes later, Lewandowski scores and puts them up 2-1. This, I think, was sort of a mistake by Huijsen. I think Huijsen, he came back from injury. He looked a little bit kind of slow and lethargic to me. I think, and he was sort of limping off. I think, he didn't have a particularly good game. But it was absolutely, I thought, Huijsen in that play was probably responsible. And then nobody would have expected this because we thought the first half was going to end, but the ref kind of kept letting play. And then when nobody expected it, and, shockingly, in the last breath of the first half, Gonzalo scores. There's a bit of a mess in the box. He's falling back, but manages to do just enough to put the ball on the back of the net. So we end up 2-2 at the half, and one of the craziest first halves that I can remember. I do not remember the last time that I've seen 3 goals scored in the added minutes of the first half. It was absolutely dramatic. Okay, in the second half, Vini, started very well. He was very active on the left, had a really good run. We were trying the high press. We tried it in the first minutes of the second half. Courtois was always going long, so it was obvious that we didn't want to play the ball out of the back, with the heat and with Barca, pressing. We wanted to avoid any kind of risk. So Courtois was constantly going long, looking for Vini, which I think made a lot of sense, all things considered. We had good possession in the beginning of the second half. I thought that we had really good possession. We looked very well placed on the pitch. In the 51st minute, another fantastic play by Vini on the left. He took a good shot, and the goalkeeper saved it. The rebound came back to him, but then he missed the second shot and sent it over the crossbar. But that was a very, very good opportunity. Jude, I thought, made more mistakes than usual in this match. He did lose a couple of balls. Now, the beautiful thing about Jude, and he has that sort of English spirit about him, which I really like. If he loses the ball, he will chase it down until he gets it back. So he did make a few mistakes, but I do appreciate the effort that he made to try to correct those. Okay, like I say, the second half I thought started well. Now, the tension level of the match really, really increased after the Asensio foul on Pedri. That's when the rivalry starts to kick in. The Clásico never disappoints. This is why I think it's just the greatest rivalry in the world, and it just never disappoints. And why I think it's just the best football match in the world. Is absolutely amazing. The tension level increased a lot, and after that Asensio foul on Pedri, Barça started to foul a lot. There were just like a million little fouls. They were totally interrupting our play, but we started to control the middle of the pitch in the second half. In the 62nd minute, there was a fantastic play between Vini and Rodrigo, absolutely wonderful between the two of them, and we really almost scored a really great chance to score, and they missed it. In the 66th minute, Fede came out and Arda Güler came in. Now, I don't know. I don't think that this was an injury. I think that it was just fatigue because, Fede I thought had played very well up to that point, but Fede runs a lot, and I think. I don't think it was an injury. I think it was more a matter of fatigue. But he was substituted, and Arda Güler came in. Now both teams. I noticed at around sort of the 70th minute. Both teams were starting to miss really simple passes. Like, this is when you need fresh legs. And the changes that Xavi made, I think we should have made them a little bit earlier because you could see that these players were just gassed out. You could see. I mean, when players can't make a 10, 15-meter pass, and they and you see that 3 or 4 or 5 times in a row, that these players are just fried. So I think that we needed fresh legs a little bit earlier, and I'm a little, I think we could have made some changes a little bit earlier. Okay, Barça then started attacking again, and then the 3-2 came in the 72nd minute, and Rafinha, this was really unlucky, okay, because it was a shot Courtois had already committed and was diving to the right, but, Rafinha's shot just sort of basically clipped Asensio's foot and changed directions, and there's absolutely nothing that Courtois could do. It was really, really heartbreaking because I thought that we were in a good position in the second half. I thought, we looked okay. I thought we had a chance to win this. Very, very disappointing. In the 74th minute, Kylian and Alaba came in. Gonzalo and Huijsen came out. And I have to say, Kylian looked slow to me. It was a little bit bizarre because when he came on the pitch, the reason that you bring fresh legs in is so if you're going to only play 20 minutes, you need to run the entire 20 minutes. But Kylian looked a little bit lethargic, a little bit slow. He wasn't, they were passing the ball around him, but he wasn't chasing it. It didn't feel to me like he was pressing particularly aggressively. In the 76th minute, at this point I wrote, okay, now Barça is just trying to keep possession now. Okay, now it's just a possession game for them. And we were having a very, very hard time recovering the ball. Now, Barça is obviously very, very good in possession. They always have been. But it was particularly difficult to get the ball off them in the latter part of the second half, simply because of the heat and the humidity. I mean, it's very, very hard to press. Humidity makes an enormous amount of difference. You can play in 90 degrees dry, and it won't affect you that much. But you play 90 degrees with 90% humidity, and you can't breathe. I think this was a really, really big factor. But Kylian looked very slow to me. It was... I don't know. He looked a little bit slow. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Kylian. We're going to have to watch that. Camavinga in the second half, I thought, was taking far too many risks with the ball. As we're taking the ball out of the back, right in front of our own penalty box. These are not places where you risk the ball, but Camavinga has a tendency to do that from time to time. In the 81st minute, Camavinga and Vini came out, and Mastantuono and Ceballos came in. One note that I made that I think is very important, I think Asensio had an absolutely incredible match. Asensio was playing right back. This is not his preferred position, but he played a fantastic match. I love this kid. I really do. He just, there was a play where he ran into the post and he was very clearly hurt, but he got up immediately because he knew that we needed all the seconds and all the time that we could get. I love his attitude. I thought he had a fantastic game. Okay, Barça in the last minutes continued to play keep away. In the 90th minute, you had the red card on De Jong for a tackle on Kylian. I mean, that was a brutal, brutal challenge. I don't know if he got him in the bad knee, but that was a brutal tackle. Barça kind of continued wasting time. In the 94th minute, Rashford actually had a really good situation. It was almost a 1v1, although he didn't have an ideal angle, but he put himself in front of Courtois and completely missed the shot. And then in the final minutes of the match, Carreras had the opportunity of the evening. I mean, How on earth did Carreras kick that ball right to Joan Garcia? How on earth did he do that? I mean, yeah, in a situation like that, just hit the ball hard. But no, he basically just tapped it right. I mean, this was absolutely criminal. And then there was a header immediately after that. I think it was Asencio, and that again went straight to the goalkeeper. It was just very, kind of unlucky. I mean, we did have plenty of chances to win this match, and I have to say that on the whole, and considering how incredibly inconsistent we've been this season, considering how poor we've been playing this season, considering all of the injuries and the fact that half the squad is playing out of position, I thought we put on a brave face, and we had a chance to win this match. So it kind of leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth because, you know, when you are, you know, if you lose to a team that, you know, is clearly has played better than you, like you sort of accept it. But a match like this is heartbreaking because, you know, we could have won this. We could have won this. But anyway, look, in terms of players, just very quickly, I mean, I thought Courtois was okay. I don't think there's much he could have done in the goals. He had plenty of other really good saves. Carreras, I thought, had a pretty decent match. You know, he participated in the attack a lot. I think defended pretty well. Tchouaméni was sort of so-so. I think not, you know, I don't think this was one of Tchouaméni's finer performances. But then again, center back isn't really his gig. Huijsen, I thought, was lethargic and slow and just looked dozy and a little bit sloppy with the ball. Look, I understand he's coming back from injury, but you know, we need to recover the Huijsen that started because, you know, in the first few matches, Huijsen I thought was very good when he arrived at Real Madrid, but he seems to have fallen off a little bit. And I don't know if it's the injury that affected him or not, but I thought Huijsen, you know, was fairly poor. Asencio, like I say, I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Jude was more you know, sloppy than usual. He lost a lot of balls. I don't know what's going on, but it was very uncharacteristic. I don't think Jude had a particularly good game. Fede played very, very well, but, you know, I don't know if it was fatigue, but, you know, couldn't pull off the 90 minutes. Camavinga, I thought, played very well in the first half. You know, pretty well in the first half, but, you know, in the second half, I think took way too many risks with the ball. Rodrigo, you know, similar, had a very good first half, I think, with the exception of the mistake where his ball loss produced Rafinha's first goal. But I think Rodrigo played pretty well, but then fizzled out as the game went on, and you kind of have to understand it. I mean, the heat and humidity issue is a really big deal. Vini, I thought, had one of the best games that he's had since he arrived at Real Madrid. I mean, if Vini always played like this, it would just be fantastic. He could have, you know, he did have opportunities to score more. But he did give us an absolutely amazing goal, a beautiful individual goal, and he made incredible runs on the left. I thought Vini had a fantastic match. Gonzalo, I thought Gonzalo was a little bit sloppy, to be frank. A little bit sloppy today. He had a couple of opportunities. He had one that was just criminal to miss. Look, all in all, I think that this performance was a little bit better than I expected. I'll be honest with you. I really thought Barca would win us like much more easily, but we showed a lot of character, and I don't know. I think we played with a lot of pride, and it certainly could have been worse. And like I say, we had plenty of chances to win the match. But look, it's the Super Cup. It's not the end of the world. But the only reason it pisses me off and I'm going to have trouble sleeping is that it's Barca, and I can't stand them. So anyway, listen, those are my thoughts on the match. Very, very intense. This rivalry is beautiful. This is such a spectacular. The Clásico just never disappoints. This was fabulous. Okay, those are my thoughts on the match. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm going to try to sleep. It's not going to be easy tonight. Thanks for joining me. Love you guys as always, and as always and forever. Ala Madrid.